What's going on, guys? My name is Anthony, and today I'm presenting you my presentation based on exercise and physical education. So let's check this out right now. So my participant happens to be a professional athlete who specializes in the hammer throwing event. That's one of the 4 throwing events for track and field. And when he told me about his goal for this particular project, his goal was supposed to be increasing flexibility and mobility with the shoulder joint as well as the hip joint. And of course, the secondary goal would be to improve the lift in the Olympic power snatch, which the lift itself is actually is critical for developing speed and power needed for the sport because like a lot of explosive torque buildup, speed, acceleration, all the good stuff that's supposed to be coming up after that. Okay. So before we can do any exercise for my participant, I had my participant take something called the PARC assessment, which stands for Physical Activity Readiness Questionnaire. And the purpose of that is basically to be more familiar with the child's background in terms of his physical activity and to see whether or not there are any health-related issues that could be able to hinder performance, and that if there are any particular risk factors that my participant is currently going through. Could be anything, maybe like a recent history of injury that occurred about last week or so. Then that participant will have to get cleared by a doctor first before we could do any exercise. And then we'll be able to move on to functional movement screen, FMS for short, and for which the functional movement screen I should be able to allow us to test on what kind of mobility, flexibility, balance that my participant has through all these series of tests that we actually done with them. And then the score always ranges between 0 to 2, could be 3, which would indicate the levels of pain or instability that my participant might be going through. So as a result of the functional movement screening, he was able to perform the movements really, really well, except that his left knee and both of his shoulders were shown to have clear instability despite not feeling any pain, which actually is a good indicator for why my participant had this particular goal to improve both his flexibility and mobility for a sport. So as I mentioned before, my participant is a professional athlete, therefore he's more experienced within particular exercise that we might be able to throw at him that's going to help him enable him to get better for his sport. So therefore, the workout plan design is supposed to be based on both the power lift and Olympic lift. Mostly Olympic lift because the biggest goal is supposed to be helping improve joint mobility because of all that movement variation we got to be doing, all that kind of stuff. And so the workout program will be designed for them to help them get stronger and get better for each time they're at practice. So that way they're more prepared before the next competition begins. So track and field athletes generally specialize within, like I said, powerlifting, weightlifting, and also other general strength conditioning such as plyometric agility and core that's able to help them develop their power output, strength output, everything they actually need for their actual throws. So here's the key idea that we're going to be looking into on what a hammer thrower actually looks like when they're spinning in the ring. So this is what actually a hammer throw actually looks like. So they're spinning, spinning, spinning. Every time they're stepping, they're pushing the ball harder and harder every single time. They're rotating that core all the way around, and after that, they have a very massive explosive finish every time they're actually in a circle. And next thing you know, they're throwing at a range between 60 to 80 meters. It's really amazing to watch. So we were able to develop a 4-week workout program for them. And like I said before, the client's goal is to improve hip and shoulder mobility as well as the flexibility as we are working towards to getting a new PR for the Power Snatch. So the exercise provided for the participant in week 1 are meant to be a mix of Olympic lift, power lifts, as well as having mobility exercise to improve the range of motion at the hip and shoulder joints. So all exercises are essentially lower body and core-based training that are meant to build explosive power, and then within every 2 weeks, percentages based on the set of reps are provided will increase to allow the athlete to get stronger. So in this slide here, you see that the exercises are listed day 1, 2, and 3. However, they're not exactly in a row. So it's actually pretty imperative that we're supposed to have like rest days in between lifting days. That way it allows the athlete to have a better chance of recovery before getting ready to live again on the next day coming up soon. And the reason for that, because any stress buildup on the joints and muscles and exercise done lifting days in a row, especially when it comes to doing exercises that are very similar, they would be able to put themselves at risk for injuries. So therefore, we need to be able to prevent that kind of injury to be from happening. So as a result, for 4 weeks, there should be significant improvement for performance. So each exercise program, explosive exercises such as snatch and clean always come first after doing dynamic warm-ups, where after doing dynamics, the body should be active to do exercise. So, and the reason why explosive exercise should always come first is because they're multi-jointed exercises, therefore focusing on larger muscle groups that require more energy compared to small isolated exercises such as hamstring curls and leg extensions. So, when it comes to doing the frequency, intensity, and exercise duration, they should be based on a set of repetitions per day, and done per day actually. And then, so the goal would be to improve training adaptation by changing intensity every 2 weeks. So the reason for every 2 weeks would be able to allow better development when following the 10% rule. So any load that goes over 10% rule, as you know, would basically increase the risk of injury. That's something that we don't want for our athletes to be able to do. So, for example, on day one, we'll have overhead squat, which then done like a heavy set of repetitions, and after that, we do the snatch, grip, high pulls, and then so on and so forth. Everything else would be all bodybuilding rest, bodybuilding base, and be able to help build the muscle tone that help associate within that big lift. So, exercise techniques that we've gone over for cap 3 and 4. So, for low body exercises, these 3 key exercises help develop explosive power for support of hammer throw. Also, they should also be able to develop strength to be able to improve the Olympic snatches. So for the overhead squat, as we know, we're in normal squat position and want the bars off the rack. However, the bar itself is actually supposed to be pushed overhead in a wide grip position so that when a person is squatting, the bar remains overhead the entire time as they're doing the movement coming up and down for each set of repetition. Snatch, grip, high pulls. All right. Basically, like a pull variation, like a deadlift variation in a way. You start it from the ground up. Bars actually has a wider V formation kind of thing as you pull up. And you'll be starting in a hang position so that when you start in a hang position, that's when you start to move the bar from the hip to the knee. And after that, you explosively fully extend both the knees, the hips, and everything to bring the bar up. And the bar passes your chest before you actually bring it back down. And then you restart the whole process over again by creating more and more explosive pushes. And then, of course, we have step into reverse lunges, which basically you have dumbbells in both hands. And then there's also a red box for you to be able to step on. So when you step up, the one knee actually goes high up in the air, bent position, and degree angle at least. So that when you step back down, the knee of the leg can step back, and therefore you have like a reverse lunge position. So we're able to do a lunge squat and coming right back up, and then stepping on the box to repeat the same process over again. So the one compound exercise out of the 3 movement variation that my participants seem to have an issue with would be the overhead squat. Now, the few flaws based on the overhead squat is that when you're hitting base position and before coming up, his knees tend to go inward when doing the squat, and the bar is above the head. And this would be due to poor shoulder joint mobility. And at the same time, rather than keeping the bar back, the bar is directly above the head, and the arms are not even locked out. And so, after doing a few weeks of workouts that past 4 weeks, right? The participants seem to improve shoulder joint mobility, so therefore the bar is a little bit more positioned behind the head rather than above, and the arms tend to be like a lot more locked out when it comes to doing the movements. And then one of the key flaws in squat position is that the lumbar is still arched in a way, and that's mostly because the chest still keeps puffing out. And when the chest puffs out, that's what causes the arch within the lower back region. So that's something that still need to work on for a future session to come. So let's go ahead and check out this movement right now. Overhead, keep the shoulder behind you, squat down, not bad. Okay, still having a little bit of struggle, but a lot better than how we did our initial analysis about a couple weeks ago. Here we go. Come right up. Try to do one more. Break it down, nice and easy. There you go. All right, here we go. Grip is good, your base is good. Okay. Press overhead, good. And squat down, very good. Keep your arms straight if you can, okay? Do the best you can. Come on. There you go. Right now, that looks really good, man. Keep the bar up behind you. You're not being forward with that. Okay. Very good. Keep them up. All right. Bring it back. Okay. And then for the upper body exercises, we did 3, which is also key essentials. Of course, we do have the overhead press, which the overhead press allows being standing position. And once the bar's off the rack, you're able to go from the overhead press to pushing straight up and bring it down, and then repeat the same process by doing a number of reps per set. And then we also did barbell bend over rows, except that rather than having the overhand position, we did the underhand position, which allows longer extension. And then so when it comes in from the knee, you're able to pull the barbell coming up. nice and easy, and squeezing that back and coming all the way down, nice and easy. So repeat the same process over and over for a number of reps. And then last but not least, we also had single dumbbell pullover, which you flatten your back. Dumbbells right here in reverse goblet position, and you're able to come right back nice and easy, and come right back right above your chest while you're flattening your back from the bench. So this is actually the number one flaw that we actually have for the overhead presses. And the overhead presses, yeah, the lumbar spine tend to arch, which basically tells you that chest puffs out a lot more, which basically be an indicator for the back arch. And at the same time, when he does the presses, there are a lot of core instability, so therefore there has to be a little more stability on the movement. Even if it's actually the first rep or second rep, there shouldn't be any instability whatsoever after doing the first rep, because that basically tells you the weight might be a little bit too heavy for the participant. So with a much stricter push on the overhead, the participant displayed a better core stability and can do that without any issue or pain. Although the low back region still tend to sort of arches, but it's likely a natural posture since the chest not popping out at the finish. So here's the overhead press. Let's check it out right now. Here we go. Good posture. Here we go. Good. Very good. Nice, easy reps right there. And the bar is directly overhead too. Posture is stable. Core base is strong. It's really awesome. All right. Here we go. Go back. Go. There you go. Good. Awesome. Strict press. Come straight up. That's really awesome. Good. So goals achieved. Yeah. So my participant is able to achieve a new personal best within the Power Snatch, which we're going to be seeing in a short video clip. So my participant is able to break the 135-pound barrier because personal best was 135 pounds on the snatch. And anytime he actually does snatches, he couldn't get past the 135-pound over and over. So he does do a significant amount of high pulls needed to make up the developed speed and power outputs. So when it comes to doing the max test for the snatch, we did 3 attempts. So we tried at 135, nice and easy. It was done, no problem. Then we tried 145, second attempt. And it came like a little bit of instability, but he was able to complete the lift whatsoever, so that's actually pretty good. And after that, he was able to complete a brand new personal best sitting at 155 in the third attempt. Yeah, 155. All right, here we go. Come straight up. Good. Catch. There you go. Yeah. There you go. That was actually. So then, of course, for the hip and shoulder flexibility, we were able to use measurement using goniometry, which we have like a ruler that splits open apart. And then by collecting his range of motion data for flexibility movements, the right shoulder came out like a 163 degrees, right hip came out 127 degrees. However, when it comes to looking at the left side for the both shoulder and hip, they tend to be a little bit less than that. So the left shoulder tends to be at 156 degrees, and the left hip is at 118 degrees. Although, according to the range of motion data, normal range of motion data by Howley and Thompson, they mentioned that all degree numbers tend to be, above average. However, the left shoulder and left hip happen to be like a lot more or less compared to the right side, only because that my participant did have a history of injury. That happened years and years and years ago, and they had surgery done like at somewhere at a time years and years ago, which is why he wanted to work on more flexibility to way both of his sides are more evened out. So as a personal trainer and strength conditioning specialist, it got me like a lot more open-minded in terms of making a suitable workout program designed for a specific group. For example, sports, obviously. So as a strength conditioning specialist, work on different groups that are from different sports: football, track and field, basketball, etc. The biggest goal that I want to try out is to be able to work on more injury prevention exercises needed for each particular sport. The reason for that, because athletes tend to get injured, whether at practice or in the weight room. So by working with the athletic trainers in the sports department, injury prevention exercise should all be prescribed while athletes are still getting benefits needed for the particular sport. And therefore, the biggest goal is to be able to help them get stronger and get better each and every now and then. And that way, by the end of the day, they're basically satisfied with what they actually have to do and what needs to be done. And of course, to use the functional movement screen, it's really, really good. Might be a little bit harder in the future in terms of running a series of assessment, but I could be wrong. But it's definitely pretty good to assessing athlete mobility as well as knowing what they need to do for the general strengthening. So that way it basically tells you about what they need to work on, and therefore we can actually help them get stronger rather than there off the bat. And of course, face integration. The three verses that actually follow when it comes to face integration of both an athlete and a coach. I do follow by Philippians 4:13, which is my number one verse. It stands for I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So it basically tells you that, as an athlete and or coach, there's always going to be a bunch of hardships coming through, and there's always going to be like a lot of ups and downs. And therefore, doing all things through Christ who strengthens you, you're able to overcome all odds and many obstacles that may lie in your way for success. Nervous for competition? Take a deep breather, remember your mantra, and simply compete as if you're at practice. Isaiah 4:30-29-31. He gives strength to the weary and increases power of the weak. Even youth grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagle, and they will run, not grow weary, and they will walk and not be faint. Some days are going to be easy, some days are going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, like I said, especially when it comes to participating in sports. And like I said, remember your mantra, remember the goals, and know the reason why you're here. Then, and what can help you overcome, both the mental and physical barriers, and therefore you're able to have like much bigger success, and then just go with the flow. And after that, the last verse, like the follows, Colossians 3:23-24. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as for working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you receive inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. So the important factor of participating is always got to be about passion. All right. So if you have passion for the sport, do it heartily, because at the end of the day, it's all about just having fun. So that's how it is. So that is it, guys. Thank you for hearing out my presentation. If you guys got any questions, comments, concerns, leave it in the comment down below. Would love to get back to you guys as soon as possible. And overall, that's about it. All right. Have a great day.